Great. Are you still able to see the screen? Yep, just give me a thumbs up. Wonderful. All right, great. So we will go into the process. How do you actually go from feeling the way you might be feeling now with, the energy issues, the bloating, the cravings, the issues with metabolism, the issues with just feeling like you're not yourself, and how do you get to where you want to be from where you are today? As I'll just repeat this just for letting everybody know that I am not a medical doctor. This is not medical information. It is healthcare and wellness information. So if you do have a medical condition, it is very important to speak to a doctor and get that diagnosis. I do work a lot with doctors. So we do, I can look at a condition from a lifestyle and nutrition and nutrient point of view. So, but I will not be giving any diagnosis or medical advice. So let's just review, where we're at. We have been talking about how to balance hormones, and I've shared over the last 3 days that I have a particular methodology, a specific way to do that, and that is all about holding not just one, not just two, but three particular systems in view. And it is a very strong belief I have that you cannot achieve this balance without doing all of the above. You can go off on one of these and it could be, a short-term solution, but to really get transformation, you need to really get all three of these areas in balance. And there is a methodology I've developed over the last 15 years, and I'll share with you a little bit more about that. So we have covered some areas of stress and sleep, some areas of diet, and more gut health. And today I'll talk about detoxification. So if I look at this method and what the work I do with my clients is to really walk through these three steps. I always start with what are the major stressors on your body? How is that impacting your hormonal system, your nervous system, your sleep system, your energy systems? Then how does that impact your digestion? And this is a bi-directional communication. So your nervous system communicates to the gut, your gut communicates to the nervous system. And then we have the third one, which is detoxification. And detoxification is, think of it like the chemical processing in the body. Everything that needs to be cleaned up goes to the liver for detoxification. Detoxification is massively, massively misunderstood. And the reason is this: it's become really popular in a very narrow, limited way, in my opinion. So most people think of juice cleanses, and juice cleanses, it's fine to have juice, obviously, but it's not okay to say that this is going to detox your body. I don't think that's the way it works at all. I was recently interviewed by somebody in the media because there has been this TikTok video about how if you eat a carrot salad a day, you don't have PMS issues or period issues. And look, I'm a big fan of carrots. There's nothing wrong with carrots, but there is this whole instinct that I see, which is to narrow things down into a pill, a food, a technique, a form of fasting, and people are passionate about it. And I think social media really feeds on that. So there's some, I think 17,000 or, some ridiculous number of videos that are circulating on the carrot salad. And, I did speak about it. And again, carrots are great and they actually do help with hormones. There's nothing, because they're high in fiber and they have lots of nutrients, but there is no magic food. There is anything that sounds too good to be true. You have to be careful. I do think the body has to be treated as a system and not in this isolated way of you have a pain, I have a pill. That's not the way it works. You have a pain, you need to figure out why you have that pain. You need to look at everything around that pain. So let's talk about detoxification with the view of your hormonal system, right? And I'm really going to focus on estrogen. And on day one, I talked about estrogen dominance and how that is really a hallmark of perimenopause, because your estrogen levels along with your progesterone levels are going down, but they don't go down at the same time and they don't go down in a straight line. And so what happens when your estrogen spikes is there are these symptoms: depression, anxiety, low libido, red blotches, acne, hot flushes, thyroid function, decreased muscle tone, higher risk of cardiovascular disease, higher risk of cellulite, PMS, irregular periods, all of that. And in a balanced system, mood is better. And it's really just the opposite. If you look at this, muscle tone is better, heart is better, weight management and metabolism is better. Let me just double check that everything's okay with. Thank you. Somebody reached out on my phone. Thank you for that. I'm just going to quickly go back to this. We've covered this. And I'm just going to do a quick repeat. You've heard it, but the visual obviously helps. We've covered the neuroendocrine system in day 1. Day 2, we talked about digestion. Today, we're talking about detoxification. And as I said, detoxification is massively, massively misunderstood. The idea of a juice detox, just solving all your detox issues, is very, very limited. And this is what I was talking about, the carrot salad. Looks like this. It's coconut oil, carrot, salt and pepper, I think. And it's a nice salad to have, but not really going to solve everything. And so I think this visual is very, very important for what happens when your estrogen levels are high, when you're spiking, when you have what's called estrogen dominance, not just because your body is producing estrogen and trying to process it, but also because you're getting estrogen from pesticides, from plastics, from refined sugars and food chemicals and the rest of it, bad fats. All of that can have an impact on this. And so what's interesting when I work with my clients is, like this diagram shows, I save detoxification right for the end. And the reason is this: everything you do when you work with me is helping you detoxify. You don't go on a detox, you detoxify every moment of the day. Your body has this incredibly sophisticated system to clean up. And we can't just assume that you buy a detox in a box and that's going to be more intelligent than your body's own design. So speaking of the body's design, this is what detoxification looks like. And it is absolutely more than a juice cleanse. Now, I'll spend a few minutes explaining this, and I want to make it, the message I want to leave with you is, this is a sophisticated, complex organ, the liver is, and the body is incredible. It is incredible, and we just have to get out of its way. So we all have toxins. They live in our fat cells. The body stores them in fat cells because it doesn't want to have these chemicals floating about in the blood, possibly hurting the brain. These toxins have to come out of those cells, enter the liver, go through what's called phase 1 detoxification, and for that, you need all these nutrients. You need the B vitamins, folic acid, glutathione, flavonoids are, the colors that are found in vegetables and fruit. And then there is this middle stage, after which you have to go through phase 2. And phase 2 turns this into something that will dissolve in water so that it can come out through the toilet, through sweat, through all the forms of detoxification. Now, look at the list of nutrients you need. So you need these nutrients, and you need them for a period of time in order to detoxify well. Really important message to take away. There is no, no detox in a box. Now, a juice cleanse, let's speak to that. I'm a huge fan of vegetable juices. I don't like fruit juices. They're too much sugar. They have some of this, of course. They'll have the vitamin B, they'll have the vitamin C's, but they're not going to have everything you need. And a lot of these are specific amino acids. So methionine, cysteine, glycine are specific amino acids that you need for your liver to do its job. And without these, your body can sometimes go here, get stuck, and you can feel really, really bad if it's stuck. You can end up with a lot of skin-related symptoms if that happens. So what are the things that we do that disrupt detoxification? Sugar, clearly massive, massive disruptor of the gut, of the energy system, of blood sugar, as well as detoxification. Processed food, chemicals, especially the E numbers, things that are found in processed food and packaged food. And I'll add to that even the sprays on our fruit and vegetable. Stress has a massive impact on how well we detoxify, gut flora, and overuse of certain medications, particularly painkillers. So if you're popping a Panadol every time you have a headache, really you need to look at what's causing the headache. A headache is not a request for Panadol. It is the body actually saying something's happening. Please help me out. What are the things that help detoxification? Flavonoids, as we saw in the earlier slides, certain amino acids, drinking water, really simple but important, sleep, getting really healthy gut flora. And I'll show you what happens if your gut flora is not in balance, and healthy fats. Now, this is true for everybody all the time, but it's particularly true in perimenopause, because in perimenopause, a lot of these systems go off balance. And this is the way I look at it. Imagine a bathtub where there's water coming in. So the water that's coming in is estrogen, and we'll always have some water in the bathtub. But if you don't have a way for that estrogen to be processed, the stopper is not there, that just starts overflowing. And then if your pipes are not working, if it cannot leave the body, then there's a massive overflow. And so you want to moderate, well, how much estrogen am I getting exposed to? There are ways to look at that. How do I make sure that I don't have this block that stops my liver from processing this estrogen? And how do I make sure the pipes are working so that everything can exit the bathroom? So that's the process. How much is flowing in? Is the drain open to allow the water to drain out? And do the pipes let the water stop the water from leaving your home? Now, just double checking that everybody can see the slides all right. They're showing up well for me. You can just give me a thumbs up. That'll be great. Wonderful. Oh gosh, my computer is doing funny things today. I'd like to speak a little bit about the gut. We talked about the gut, and you'll notice when you listen to me or work with me, I love these interconnections. I love forming these connections for my clients and saying, look, this is what's happening, and this is why this is working, or this is why that is working. It's like an experiment that we do on the individual, and it's a fantastic process because you start understanding yourself. Now, the body produces estrogen, which is the female hormone. It goes to the liver, it goes to the gut, and if everything's working well, most of it will exit the body, some of it will come back. And that's a healthy situation. In an unhealthy situation, the same thing happens, but if your liver is not doing its job. But another piece of the puzzle is if you don't have the right gut flora, if you don't have the right probiotics at the right levels, only a little bit of it exits and most of it comes back into the body. And that's really where we start seeing fibroids and growths and PMS symptoms and weight gain and all the other symptoms that I showed you over here with high estrogen levels. So I know there's a fair bit of information to take in, and I'd like to just have a check-in on where everybody's at. So we know that you've joined these sessions because you are at a certain place and you want to go to another place here. And we also know that there is a certain process, and you've obviously tried some of these things. Everybody's tried a few things along the way to help. And for some people, that might be really overwhelming and exhausting. And so what I really do believe works very well is to organize things, and that is, organization is the first step towards simplification, and simplification is the first step towards making it a lifelong habit or part of your lifestyle rather than a short-term plan or a diet. And so this is the process that I use, and this is the way forward, in my opinion, to getting that sense of balance, excitement, vitality at this stage of life, so that it doesn't feel like, my best years were behind me and I'm not looking forward to what's ahead. We've talked about food, we've talked about stress and a little bit about sleep, we've talked about blood sugar and energy, we've talked about the importance of gut flora, we've talked about gut health, And today we've talked about detoxification. These are the moving parts on which your metabolism, your hormones, and your long-term health depends. There's no way to jump from here to here. This is the work to do. And it's actually quite, for many people, it's actually quite a fun process. It's not a painful process. So in order to put this together, I do think you need a system. So I'm just going to go back to the view, and I think that's when I felt that, okay, this might be okay. Still okay in terms of the slides, they haven't disappeared like earlier. Okay. Somebody could let me know in the chat that the slides are still okay. So I'm not sure what had happened earlier, so I don't want to take a chance. Perfect, thank you. All right, so let me break down this method a little bit more for a lot of people who reached out to me said, I want to know more. I'm really keen to know how this works. I like what I'm hearing. I'm feeling excited about it, but tell me more. So I thought I'd bring some of that today. We always start with food, and we start with balancing blood sugar. That's about what you eat, when you eat, sleep, stress, all plays a role over here. Then we look at reducing inflammation. There's certain superfoods that help reduce inflammation, and there are definite inflammatory foods that honestly people eat 80 to 90% of the time. And once you clear these inflammatory foods, it's actually amazing how much transformation you can have. And there is a right time to bring in fasting, and I consider it an art and a science to really fast effectively at the right time and to not jump into it. Healing the gut involves taking in certain foods that are designed to heal the gut. There are certain amino acids, certain proteins that are very good for gut healing. Very important to balance out the microbiome and really pay attention to how you're eating. A lot of us are just scoffing down food, but really pay attention to that intentional eating or mindful eating. And today we have talked about autophagy and detoxification. And by the time one reaches this, you've actually done a lot of work to help your body detoxify. And so it's a lot more of tweaking, bringing in certain superfoods. For some people, I come in and we do something, you know, like a short-term way of stimulating autophagy, if they're up for it, if it's right for them. But this, by the time you reach this, you've actually been detoxifying pretty much from the day you started. You've been detoxifying more effectively from the day you started. So you're here, and some of you are here, you know, 3 days in a row. So you're, from what I'm hearing, from what I'm, you know, reading in the chat, you're likely to be here because you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed. You don't want to make the wrong decision. You're perhaps not confident in the things you're currently doing, and you're also concerned that what you are doing may be hurting you. And you're scared about how you will cope in the future. I heard a lot of fear. I heard a lot of concern about, if I'm feeling this way now, what is it going to look like a decade from now, 5 years from now? And I think at some level, you've acknowledged that you are worth it. You're worth figuring this out, and you need to be there for the people in your life the way you want to be. And that will only happen if you feel better. You may be worried that you won't figure out the why. Why is this happening? You may feel that feeling old is inevitable. You might not like what you think about when you think about yourself growing older and entering menopause. And you worry that you may not be there for your family the way you want to be. So the only way any of that will change is to take action. So you might be wondering, how is she so confident in her system? What makes this system the one that's going to work for me? I'm going to share with you a review that came in this morning. All these reviews that I'll be sharing are from Google. Just search the Nutrition Clinic on Google and you will get this. But this woman came in and she just felt exhausted. She's got a young child. She felt absolutely exhausted. And speaking to her today was just incredible for me. And she said she'd like to write this review that just in her words will share what what this process has meant to her. And I think the way she has said that her body felt broken and now it doesn't feel broken is to me the reason I do this. This is why I do the work I do. And we had a conversation about how none of it has felt harsh. It's all felt like an intuitive fit. And once she came in, doing some exercise, eating well, eating well in the way she thought she was eating, and just fixing a few things makes such a difference. So I wanted to share this with you, and I wanted you to just trust, not just from what you're hearing from me, but also from my community. I've taken the liberty of taking a few more reviews from Google. And I think what you'll hear kind of throughout this is that this has been a process of change. Many of these are women who are in their 40s, not everybody, but many of them are. For many, there's been a deeper understanding of what the body and the mind needs, feeling that they're supported. Motivation was there because they saw results. Energy, focus, mind, anxiety, bloating. These you will hear this again and again when you read my reviews, because that is the work that I do. That is the area I feel very, very confident in. This wonderful review, which is this long, and I feel so touched when somebody will take the time to write this much in this much detail. Somebody who just felt overwhelmed because she is a working mom with young kids and just felt like she can't cope. And it was incredible how quickly she felt better. And I remember speaking to her after we'd made a few changes, and she actually said to me, I just feel like coming out of Zoom and hugging you, because it just feels so good to feel good in my body. And she felt good from day 3. So, we just made a few changes, and it was enough to trigger a massive, massive shift. This is from a young man I've worked with, who came in with some heart disease risk factors. And again, we did a few things. We made a few changes. His LDL dropped, his diabetes risk improved, and his doctor was really impressed. Now, his doctor does refer many of his patients to me. So I just want to share with you that I know that this works. I know what I do works. I do this all the time. This is the area I'm mostly passionate about. This is what I read about. This is what I study about. I'm pretty narrowly focused in that way. So now I'd like to do another pulse check, and I know we've had a few of these. I want to hear from you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you feel that you can beat cravings, boost energy, beat the bloat, and enjoy life the way these clients have? 10 being feeling fantastic and 1 being feeling not great at all. So just tell me where you feel you are at right now. And you can just put that in the chat. Fantastic. 7, 5, 6, 8, 7. So let me ask you this next question. What would it take to take that 7 to an 8, the 8 to a 9, the 6 to a 7? What would it take for you to feel that way? What would it mean to you? How much would it change your life if you could go up 1 number? I can just feel you free to write your thoughts. Does it feel good to go up a number? For sure, yes. Okay, you feel motivated? All right, let's stay with this. And if you want to add more, I'm keeping an eye on the chat. How much do you believe in your ability to enter menopause fearlessly? And that's again 10 being fearless warrior and 1 not being at all. Because the reason I'm asking this question, and this is what I see with my clients, is that belief in oneself, that motivation, that mindset is very, very important. I think if you have that mindset, of believing in your body, of trusting your body, also trusting your body to respond if you give it the right things. I think that is a massive, massive, massive shift and a massive starting point. So just stay with that thought. And again, at the end, if you have questions about this, we can definitely talk some more. And how committed are you to help yourself in doing a good job of it? And again, 10 would be the most commitment you could have towards yourself, and 1 being the least. Great. Great, I'm seeing a lot of 8s, which is good. So yesterday I did talk about the Perimenopause Blueprint, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time answering some of the questions that came to me today. Let me say that if you've been resonating with me so far, if this is connecting with you, and you can see how this process can really help you catapult your well-being forward, I want to be able to walk through with you all the steps to setting this up, so that I'm giving you the information that you need to support you with making sure you're implementing it right. And to give you all the tips and hacks to make this even easier. My goal is that you should feel safe and truly unstoppable, because I think there's massive power, massive empowerment in that. So let's talk about the best way to move forward with me if the Perimenopause Blueprint is interesting for you. If it piques some curiosity, let's talk about it some more. So I shared, and I'll give you the website for this as well, so that you're able to look at it. Let me give you a bird's eye view of what you will get access to on this program. So we start, of course, with food. We create a foundational food plan for everybody. The focus being you crush your cravings, you eat for energy, and there is a sense of personalization with the eating guide. And I will do that in a group setting through Zoom, but there will be some foundations that are given. And then because I will be getting to know each of you who joined the program, there will be a level of personalization that is discussed in that Zoom, in those Zoom calls. I will be talking about how to eat out, how to not feel overwhelmed by the choices, how to navigate the holidays, how to clean up your kitchen. And honestly, that's not just for you, that's for your entire family, which is part of this. Phase 2, we will move to cultivating a balanced nervous system. I've spoken a lot about how stress is that first switch that goes off and can impact so much of your body. I'll explain to you more about what is adrenal health, what is burnout, what does it mean, how do you recognize it in yourself? The woman I spoke to earlier today who wrote that review today said to me that she's now able to understand she's burnt out and she's taken some time for herself. And I thought that was really, really profound, because if you don't know what it looks like for you, you just work through it. So just being able to check in with your body is very, very important. And I'll definitely be sharing that with you. A lot of people talk about mindfulness. A lot of people talk about meditation. It is a challenge to do. It's a challenge. If you're busy, it's a challenge to squeeze that into the day. I have a lot of techniques and hacks around that without having to sit for hours of meditation, because that's just not possible for most of us. Sleep hygiene. There are probably some really basic things that we can do to improve your sleep hygiene, and the importance of that routine, and give you a stress management toolbox. And I've got lots of ideas, lots of work that I have done with my clients, and I've collected a lot of data on what works and what doesn't work. Phase 3, we get into healing your gut, understanding gut health, understanding the signs and symptoms when things are going off, healing your gut. Once you heal your gut, you really start healing your health. It is a massive transformation to your long-term health. There is no health without gut health. And then you identify foods that support a healthy digestive system, and of course, identify the trigger foods that could be causing upset to your digestive system. You learn strategies to repair the intestinal lining, which is the lining of the gut. That can impact your immunity, your digestion, your mood, and much, much more. Lots of nutritional tips. We'll talk about probiotics. A lot of people say to me, I'm fine with probiotics. I just pop a pill. And we often find that's just not enough. It's like saying, I have some soil and I'm going to throw some seeds and I hope we get a garden of flowers. It doesn't work that way. Phase 4, because it is a perimenopause group, we will focus not just on detoxification, but specifically estrogen detoxification. I'll go back to that original image if anybody wants to refer to it. But so many of the symptoms women face in perimenopause are about estrogen not being cleared properly. So we look at how we can help you with that. We not just explain what's happening, but what can you do to detoxify estrogen. Really support your liver. Eat for liver support, and there are several superfoods that help the liver and help detoxify estrogen. So it's not just about carrot salads, it's about a whole bunch of foods that can be used to detoxify. And if you think about that, that bathtub analogy, this part of the work is about every stage. It's about making sure that you don't have too much water flowing in from the shower into the bathtub. It's also making sure that there isn't a plug or a stopper that's stopping the water from flowing, and it's making sure the pipes are working. And everything that you do leading up to phase 4 is setting you up for this. We'll have a wrap-up session where we celebrate and have some future planning. We reflect, we celebrate, we acknowledge the journey, but most important is about future-proofing your wellness. It's not about just doing these 6 weeks and then you're done. It's about really taking away what can stay with me long-term and what cannot stay with me long-term, and really being honest and open about that. I think a big part of this program is going to be the community, because I think that supportive network is something that I think we all need. I'm trying to make the process as easy as possible. One of the advantages of working with somebody who's worked with more than 3,500 clients is I've pretty much heard everything. I've heard every excuse, every challenge, everything that happens when people travel, and I've heard every possible, moment of empowerment, moment of championship, that I did this, I went out for a Christmas party and these are the choices I made. I've really heard it all when it comes to food and lifestyle. And so I'm bringing that knowledge to the table here. I know how I can make the process easy for you, because I know you're overwhelmed. I know you're tired. I know you're busy. I know you are not looking to add on more to a plate that already feels full. But what I'm offering you here is, let's take a pause so that we can set you up so that you can do everything you're doing and more, feeling much better. We will do this via Zoom. It's a weekly Zoom session. And the weekly is very nice because we get that regular meeting, keep you on track, stay accountable, no matter what's going on in your life. And there'll be a community for you to reach out to, as well as to me, if you are struggling with something. There'll be step-by-step tutorials, to-dos, reminders to help you remain accountable and implement each part. There will be this community online, and it's a community that I will be managing and looking for, but there will also be the sharing between the community members. You can ask questions, you can celebrate your wins, you can share insights anytime. There will be coaching and support. So part of the weekly calls will be given to Q&A slots, so that, if you have questions and they haven't been answered through the community support, it will be answered in these Q&A calls. And I think I'd mentioned this yesterday, there is the weekly opportunity to do hot seat coaching sessions with me to get your questions answered, to do some brainstorming, and you do it live. Everybody who sits on the hot seat and gets questions answered is teaching everybody else in the group. I'm a big believer in tracking symptoms. So getting your symptoms reviewed by me every week makes sure you're on track. And an example of how symptom tracking works, I like to use the 1 to 10 scale as we did earlier, 10 being, in this case, the symptom that feels the highest or the strongest or the most uncomfortable. So in this case, for example, mood has gone down mood swings, sorry, mood swings has gone down. Somebody entering. That compulsive eating or craving has gone down, bloating has gone down. And what's important, and this is on a monthly basis, but when you start tracking on a weekly basis, what's really interesting is when you say, okay, I did this week and this got better, then you start understanding that, hang on, this was the change that led to this result. It's like this lock opens this door, and this lock opens this door, and this other lock opens this door. And so that is, I think, really important education about yourself. And honestly, if you don't do this education in your 40s, then when will you do it? Right? This is the time, this is that the 40s is that decade of transition where if you don't do it now, what's ahead can just be a lot more challenging because you've not set it up right. Another example, so this shows over a longer period, but you can see how different symptoms go down. And you know, we look at this, I look at this very, very carefully with everybody I work with, because it is important to me that, you know, she started with a 10 for her cravings and it comes down to 1. That is a massive shift in how she lives her daily life. This is a woman who came in to see me. She has young kids, and you can see just how bad the levels of fatigue was. I mean, morning fatigue 9 out of 10 and evening fatigue 7 out of 10. And I remember her very clearly because she came down, sat down the first time I met her, and she started, I just asked her, how are you? And do you have, you know, tell me more about your life, but also tell me more about this fatigue. And she just started crying, and she said, I've got a young child, I've got a 5-year-old. We organized a birthday party for her, and I couldn't really enjoy it because I just really wanted to curl up and sleep. I wanted to be there for my child, but I didn't really want to be there because I couldn't really be focused on that. And so this fatigue going down from a 9 to 1 in the morning, that's changed her life. That's given her just the ability to go out for that morning walk, to spend more time with her kids, to be there for her job. Her hair fall, big one for a lot of women, went from 9 to 3. So, you know, this is about the outside, but also the inside. And it's about how you live your life and how you show up for your life. So there's a lot included in this group coaching program. And I've tried to put some, you know, just some value to just the amount of time that I will be spending. This is really important for me. It's the first time I'm doing this. I'm really excited to bring what I know to a larger community. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I've largely done one-on-one work for 15 years. So for me to take everything I have learned and to put it into a group coaching program is exciting, because I moved to a largely Zoom-based practice during the lockdown, but I'm seeing the value of using this combination of community and what Zoom gives us the option to do, the virtual connection. And so this has a lot of value that I have really made available at a very affordable, a very easy to kind of make a decision price point. So you will get a lot of support through this process. So if I just look at, you know, if I calculate what's in this in terms of time and support, then that's the value. And obviously the price of the coaching is much, much lower. The price of the program, sorry. So there might be some things you're thinking about right now. Maybe you've tried nutrition and diet programs before without the best results. That's possible. And again, if that's you, maybe you can just say me, that's me in the chat, or just me in the chat. I'd like to know how many people feel that they've tried something before and they haven't had great results. I've got a few answers here. Is there anybody who's had a different experience? Have you tried something and it's worked really well for you? If so, I'd love to hear about that as well. So feel free to type your experiences on the chat. I'm keeping an eye on that. Maybe you're not sure when you'll be ready, but you want to try. That's a possibility. I have, by design, chosen this time of the year to do this because I could have pushed it to next year, but I think actually doing it during the holidays is more powerful and more useful because the reality is there will be these demands on your time. There will be the social calendar filling up. And if you can do this program with this level of support during the holiday season, the rest of the year, next year, you will be armed with a toolkit to get started. You might be feeling that you're already very overwhelmed and busy. And I can tell you that I completely understand that. And the role here is not to make things more complicated for you. It's really to simplify things. Honestly, if you have more energy, what's on your plate right now is going to feel so much easier. So I'm super committed to serving everybody who's ready to do this process with me. So as I had mentioned yesterday, there is an early bird discount that is available for the next 4 hours or so. It is, you can enroll through our website. If you just go to the nutritionclinic.com.sg/ the Perimenopause Blueprint, you will find it there. And the price goes up after midnight tonight. So if you book this now in the next few hours, it is a single payment of $750. After tonight, it goes up to $997, and the code is 247 off. And that you just do caps, and that's the code that you use to get that discount. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I would love to answer them. I'm happy to stay a little bit longer for anybody who wants to have a quick, a quick chat about their interest in the program and they have some concerns, because I realize time is obviously of the essence if you'd like to book before the midnight slot. When does the program start? It starts Thursday, November the 2nd, and it runs for 6 weeks. And the discount ends tonight at 11:59 Singapore time. What happens after you sign up? You get connected to something called the Better app, which is what we use. There will be some sign-up information. You will be taken to a form. That form will collect your symptoms. So we get a sense of where you are right now. I'll get a sense of any medical history, health history. So we start by collecting that information. We will be using that information to then send you weekly symptom questionnaires so we can track how you're feeling. This is a very high touch point, hands-on program. So once we get the group together, I will let you know when we're ready to get started. You'll start getting some material from me, and we will then start on the 2nd of November with the first session. Whatever I need you to do before that will be sent to you before that. How much time will it take to learn and implement everything? I am assuming it's going to be 1 hour on Thursdays, but there will be support and resources given to you along the way. The app that we use, the Better app, is excellent. It is something that we've used for our clients for many years. And there will be areas where we tell you what are your habits to focus on, what are we working on this week, resources that we give you to help you make the changes for the week before we stack on the following week's work. There is a community aspect to the app. I've had a few people ask me, say, do I have to participate? Do I have to ask questions? It's completely up to you. Some people like to just listen in, which is fine. I respect that. And you learn a lot from that. Of course, if you have questions and you ask, you get a lot out of that as well. The best way to contact me if you have questions about the program is you can use this QR code to book a 10-minute call with me. And if you have questions that I can answer right now, I'll be very happy to do that. All right, this takes me to the end of my presentation. I've got a few questions and I'll take those first. What happens? One question is, what happens after 6 weeks? Do we still get support? Absolutely. You get The end of the program is going to be a conversation about what happens. What do you do after that? Now, there isn't like a schedule to follow after the 6 weeks, but there are definitely opportunities to get support from me after that is done. And I'll be sharing all of that in the wrap-up session. Are there any other questions, any comments, questions, anything you'd like to share? You can unmute yourself or you can ask me on the chat, whatever's comfortable for you. All right, I think we're ready to wrap up. I don't see any more questions, so it looks like I've answered your questions. I've got somebody asking me what happens if I miss one of the group sessions due to work issues. Absolutely, I completely understand that. You will, of course, get all the recordings. You will get all the support. If anybody's struggling, if you've missed a session, it's a busy time at work. Literally, you can just reach out to me through the group, through the chat in the app, and I'll be happy to support you in any way that I can and just get you up to speed. All right. I think that brings us to the end. I think everybody's questions are answered. I look forward to, then thank you so much for joining. I look forward to, meeting you, getting to know you. There are several familiar names in the group, and there are lots of new names as well. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining every night for 3 days. I know that's a huge time commitment. I really, really appreciate that. And I look forward to working with you in the capacity that's the best fit for you. Take care, have a good rest of the week, and I'll see you the next time we run one of these.